Imagine two men, both looking at the horizon of human destiny. One saw a world suffocated by fear, controlled by surveillance, censorship, and the iron fist of tyranny. The other saw a world not enslaved by force but by pleasure, where people willingly traded their freedom for comfort, distraction, and endless entertainment. These men were George Orwell and Aldous Huxley. Their visions, 1984 and Brave New World, were not just novels, they were warnings. Warnings for you, for me, for the world we live in right now. The question is, were they right? Will we be destroyed by fear or seduced by pleasure? Today we're diving into the battle of two prophetic minds and revealing why their visions matter more than ever in our digital age. Stay with me, because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. George Orwell's 1984 painted a chilling picture of totalitarian control. Big Brother watching every move, thought police punishing even your private imagination, history rewritten, language stripped of meaning. In Orwell's world, people are crushed under the weight of fear. The state doesn't just control your actions, it invades your thoughts. His warning was clear: the greatest threat to human freedom would come from oppressive governments that weaponize fear to maintain power. When you think of mass surveillance, censorship, or governments manipulating information, you're living in Orwell's shadow. He believed that truth itself would be destroyed, not by lies, but by endless distortion. Who controls the past, he wrote, controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Orwell's nightmare was not just about dictatorship, it was about the annihilation of truth. And when truth dies, freedom follows. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World offered a different warning. He didn't see a world enslaved by fear, but by seduction. In his vision, people are distracted into submission. They don't need to be forced into obedience. They embrace it because it feels good. They are drugged with pleasure, entertained endlessly, and pacified by comfort. In Huxley's world, people don't rebel because they don't want to. Why fight oppression when you're entertained, distracted, and given just enough comfort to keep you docile? He warned that the danger was not censorship, but triviality. Not the banning of books, but a culture so saturated with entertainment that no one even cares to read. Not pain, but pleasure. His chilling insight: people would come to love their servitude. And doesn't that sound eerily familiar in our age of endless scrolling, dopamine hits, and constant distraction? So which dystopia is worse, Orwell's or Huxley's? Orwell feared those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would drown us in so much information that truth would be lost in noise. Orwell feared a world of enforced pain. Huxley feared a world of comfortable pleasure. Orwell feared rulers who would command us what to think. Huxley feared a culture where people stopped thinking altogether. If you look around today, you'll see signs of both. Governments still use fear, wars, pandemics, terrorism, to justify surveillance and control. But at the same time, social media, entertainment, and consumerism are keeping billions of people distracted, sedated, and addicted. The war between fear and pleasure is not about which one dominates. It's about how both are used together to keep us passive. Here's the truth. Orwell and Huxley weren't opposites. They were two sides of the same coin. Look at today's world. Constant surveillance through smartphones and cameras, governments monitoring data, corporations tracking every click. That's Orwell. But at the same time, we drown ourselves in endless content, streaming services, social media, and consumer pleasures. That's Huxley. Fear controls the few who resist. Pleasure pacifies the many who comply. Together they form a system far stronger than either vision alone. We scroll, we binge, we consume, and we barely notice how much of our freedom, attention, and autonomy we've already surrendered. The scariest part? We often surrender it willingly. In the past, control was obvious: chains, prisons, dictators. Today, control is invisible. Algorithms decide what you see. Notifications hijack your attention. Entertainment becomes endless. Fear lurks in the background: wars, crises, chaos. But pleasure keeps you too distracted to question it. Orwell warned us about the whip. Huxley warned us about the candy. Today we live with both. Think about it. How many people voluntarily trade their privacy for convenience? How many trade their time, their focus, their potential for another binge watch, another scroll, another game? These are not chains of iron. These are chains of desire, and they're harder to break. But here's the thing. Neither Orwell nor Huxley believed the future was inevitable. Their books were not prophecies, they were warnings. And warnings can be heeded. The real question is, will we wake up? Will we reclaim our freedom, our attention, our minds? Or will we drift deeper into distraction until we forget we were ever free? Awareness is the first step. When you recognize how fear manipulates you and how pleasure seduces you, you can begin to resist. Freedom is not just about resisting dictatorships. It's about resisting the subtle chains of addiction, distraction, and false comfort. The choice is yours, and it always has been. So here we are, standing at the crossroads of Orwell and Huxley. One path leads to control by fear, the other leads to control by pleasure. But perhaps the most terrifying truth is this: the two are not separate. They are merging. A world where fear keeps you obedient and pleasure keeps you silent. The question is not just which future is coming. The question is, what role will you play? Will you be the passive consumer, lost in distractions, scrolling as the world burns? Or will you be the awake, the aware, the one who sees through the illusions of both fear and pleasure? Orwell and Huxley gave us the tools to see. Now the responsibility is ours. The question is not just Orwell or Huxley. The question is, will we wake up in time?